Alors, how are you going to make the greatest chenin in America? No. Can you talk a bit about like this vineyard, the specificity of this vineyard, and your approach, because you have a very great knowledge of what's happening in the region. You came here, you studied here, you tasted wine here, you went over there, you looked for that vineyard on purpose, like you went on a hunt for chenin. And then you have a very respectful also mindset for winemaking. To kind of translate that, and this is a treat to be able to taste this wine. There is not a lot produced, so thanks again for also bringing that.
So the vineyard, I mean, for Washington and for the region we were in is quite old. It was one of the first plantings in the Columbia Valley for chenin, and one of the few that is left. Most of the chenin has been removed, either because of disease or for more fashionable grapes that became in the region later, like Cabernet and Syrah. And so we were really fortunate to work with it. The difficulty was the farming at the beginning was kind of weak and very minimal, and the vines are like bush vine, almost kind of like a goblet, and so we had to manage the issues of a variation of ripeness between different parts of the plant, and so in the first years, what we learned worked best for us was to make the harvest over multiple pickings. And so when we did that, we realized we had both different levels of ripeness and different characteristics in the wines because they would be fermented separately. And on the years where we had humidity and coolness in the harvesting times, we would get botrytis on some of the grapes, and we would separate those and make like a demi-sec wine. But most of the years we would have this moment where there was the kind of best ripeness, and that's what this wine would become. And it was a selective component of each plant. And for us, we work very minimally in the cellar, so we don't make any additives to the wine other than a bit of sulfur. Once the wines are, we do let them go through malolactic. We don't usually have very much malic acid. It's very minimal usually, so it's not really, it doesn't make the wine taste too like yogurt or buttery to us, so we typically let it go. Also, that's one less thing to control, or to try to control. What's important for us is to start in a more reductive environment, and so we try to keep carbon dioxide layered into the grapes until they're pressed. And we, for this wine, we kind of stole an approach from champagne maker, and so we call it the cours de cuvée. So it's the press, it's the middle of the cycle where there is a lot of fat and texture, but the colloidal material has mostly settled out, so it's very clear. And we take that and go directly into the barrel, and it's a mix of older barrels of different sizes and inox barrels too. So we like the inox barrel because we can keep more lees, and lees is extremely important to us for the texture and building up of the framework of the wine, because we do not usually take the wine off of the lees until just before assembling for bottling. So it for us, this particular pot tends to be the most interesting, and when you see the difference between the one that has been in the barrel versus the one that has been in the stainless barrel, the complexity together is usually quite exceptional. And we do let this age élevage for the primary fermentation longer than our other chenin, which is usually made 6-8 months or so after harvesting. So for this one, it's 10 months, and then a few months assembled in a tank together before bottling, and without any filtration or fining or anything that matters. So it's for us, it's a wine to age. We leave it in the bottle for maybe 1 year to 18 months before we sell to anyone. And the reason why is what many people have talked about today is chenin has so much acidity, and it takes a while for that to integrate within the wine. And we want to present this wine to our clients and to people who drink at a point when it is maybe just available to drink. You know, it's just starting that capacity. And, you know, this is from a vintage that when things went quite well. And so we think that this wine will age for many years to come. But I don't have the experience with the vineyard or with anybody regionally to know for sure. So it is, we are making our guess based upon, like the French like to use the word, the carpentry of the wine. So we think that the both tannin and acid assembling is appropriate with enough fruit to carry the wine for many years.
Yeah, because just to put that in perspective, in your area,
Yeah.
there is no old chenin. You may taste some older chenin from potentially California or Napa,
Yeah.
but where you are,
I've
even if
never had-
even the vineyard was planted
Yeah.
in 1974, like
The wine before was, grapes were sold to cooperative that would make it into a big blend with other, you know, so I have never
No
once
zero.
had an old chenin from Washington.
so it's interesting to try to project yourself, to try to like how can you, as you said, understand the vineyard and understand your wine to be able to do something that you wish and you would like to age
Yeah.
for a certain time and building that for that.
Yeah, and we hope that this wine lasts somewhere maybe 10 to 20 years. And I mean, we're whatever, 4 or 5 years in now. So I'm pretty sure it'll be okay, but I don't know for sure. And, but it's based upon knowledge of tasting and working with wines that have that capacity from other places, and having, I guess, like a bit of gusto that we can do it. And I, you know, again, it will be great once we do have examples of wines that are 10, 15, 20 years old from the region to reflect back on and see what other changes we need to make. So the farming in the vineyard has adapted every year, and we become more like Damien was saying, we have had much more care with each plant as they become older, and to try to find the best way to both match its history and capacity, but also improve upon the health and of the soils and the health of each individual harvest to give us the best option for wine, you know. And part of that is, he's saying happy plant. For us, if you don't have a happy plant, you get stress characteristics in the wine, and the stress characteristics in the wine can sometimes be off-putting, and they can make the wine, I don't know, abrasive in ways, or astringent. And so we're trying to help avoid those, and also get ripeness up while acidity stays very high too.
Just a quick question. You said that when you started, you did both dry and demi-sec because of bad farming and different ripening times, and
Well, also the demi-sec because we wanted to experiment with the botrytized grapes. And so we still make the demi-sec on the years that we have the botrytis, but we don't get that every year. It's maybe one every 3 or 4. And so when we see it start, we will leave that out in the vineyard and then come back and take it later once the grapes have raisined. And, you know, it's more just to see if we can make a wine like that. We still have not sold one yet. We have been aging in bottle, and and so we're waiting to see how they progress before, because it's only, you know, a few hundred bottles of each.
So in this case, it's really not a question of different terroirs, one that's more better adapted to Misek,
Yes.
or it's the same place, it's just
And
the
the
climatic
millésime,
conditions.
the vintage is really important at the plate. We always make typically this wine, the Inondé, and we also make a wine called L'Île Verte, which is our main chenin, which has sometimes some sugar, much more based upon what the season dynamics were that year, whether we have less ripeness or more ripeness, and it's I would say much more a reflection of what this region has had to deal with over the past, when there's less years that things got ripe.
Thank you.